B.
Rogers TV Durham would like to acknowledge that we are on the treaty and traditional territory of the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation of the Mississauga Nation. May we respectfully honor the knowledge and understanding of the Indigenous stewards of these ancestral lands and ensure that the voices of the First Peoples are represented in our collections, programs, and services.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
The opinions expressed in the following programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers Cable or Rogers TV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Talk Politics. I'm Debra Hutchison. Our guest this week is Clarington Mayor Adrian Foster. So good to see you again. Thanks for joining us.
Debra, it is always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So we are recording this on Tuesday, April 23rd. You had just had a council meeting the night before, April 22nd. And we wanted to talk about Bill 23, the Ontario bill, the Grow Homes Faster bill, and the impact that it's having on your municipality, your budget, and your parkland. So what was discussed last night specifically in regards to Bill 23?
So there are a couple of issues, and I don't know that the public understands with the, in some cases, the reduction in parkland that developers, are required, the minimums have changed fairly significantly. If we want to maintain the amount of parkland that we are used to, the current level of service, if you will, there could be significant ramifications on the taxpayers, because if we're not getting the cash in lieu, if we're not getting the parkland, someone has to buy the parkland, and that someone is a municipality. So it hasn't had a lot of play in the press. But the municipality, our secondary plans, visions that we brought forward with 23 changed rather significantly. And we may, emphasis on may, have to come back to the public and say, we thought a park was going to be this size. It's now going to be significantly less. Our budgets, if you want those parks, are going to have to increase. And I say may because the developers, the legislation is a minimum. For the developers that are agreeing to give us the park that we agreed to, that the public wants, everything remains the same. It's all good.
So how did it work before Bill 23?
So there are a couple of changes. Some anticipated, some not. But basically, the percentage of land for 300 units. These are specific numbers. What you used to give us for 300 units in high density is now 600 units. So in high density, we will get half of the amount of parkland that we thought we were getting, which is completely at odds with where the public is going. We just did our strat plan and our parks and cultural rec survey. The public want to see more parks and more green space. So you think more density, you need more green space as opposed to less. The new legislation says less. We have done what are called secondary plans, which is where you go out to the public and we show the public, and we have put our hands up as a council saying this is the vision. For the secondary plans that are done, we may need to take a look at those and say, if we're going to give you the parklands that we promised, we're now going to have to buy it. Which means there are unanticipated expenses to the municipality. And I keep saying may. We had a number of developers out last night who said, we're going to honor our commitments. So Bill 23 says, by legislation, they can give us less. A number of developers said, we're not doing that. We're going to carry on doing what we had promised you and what we had promised the public as well. But it's across the province, a significant change to our future communities.
Is that one thing that COVID taught us though, that the value of outdoor space and outdoor parks, during the pandemic, that's where people wanted to be. That's where it was safe to be. And that was, that was salvation for a lot of people throughout the pandemic. And now, that's being impacted.
It seems at odds with common sense. I mean, it truly does. So we did learn that during the pandemic, and even without a pandemic, we need more density. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. For a whole variety of reasons, we need more density, but people need access to that public space if they're in fact living closer together.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to, I guess, more dollars and cents and the budget. Do you want to start with your local budget, or do you want to start with the region's budget?
So, the two, I'm going to say, are intertwined. It's interesting that the largest items on Clarington's budget was hiring significantly more firefighters. And that's a result of, obviously, of growth and additional standards that, again, it's all level of service that we provide. The greatest increase at the region would have been hiring particularly more police. We are seeing challenges, crime. We are seeing the police dealing with a number of things that they never dealt with before. The scams, cybercrime, human trafficking in the last couple of years has come up as a significant issue in Durham. It's always been here, but I don't know that we were as aware as we should have been about that. And then we're looking at additional paramedics, additional social services. So a lot of money is going to deal with those challenges that are right in front of us. At risk of speaking too long, just to give you one metric, regional staff did 8,500 interventions with people that were at risk of being homeless. So these are folks couch surfing. If you think about that number, where we see people that are unsheltered now, encampments popping up, 8,500 individuals were leaning on Durham's resources. So that problem is way worse than what we think it is.
Yeah, the region put out a really effective graph, and it's still available on their website, breaking down where your regional property taxes go for the average homeowners. Top on the list, 29.8%, so 30% of your tax dollar goes to police. Second was social services at just over 20%. And there's no getting around that. That's services that we need, but the impact on our tax bill continues to go up and up.
It does. And I would like to suggest not so much the tax bill. So I don't anticipate that Durham Region is going to see tax increases. The residents, similar to what they did this year. This was extraordinary. It was higher than any of us wanted to support. I'm going to suggest it was catch up on that. But there were, we'll go back to refugees. Some money that Durham Region did not have set aside to deal with refugees. Last year, there were significant expenses for refugees coming into town that we had to deal with. Another part is it really does come down to quality of life for everybody. So, as much as you see the unsheltered, it does not make you feel good. You may feel threatened. The same with folks panhandling on streets, and we get legislation suggesting that it is someone's right to be in an encampment if there's another option. If there isn't another option available, it is an individual's right to panhandle coming from the courts. As we put these services in place, hopefully we get that under control, and we feel more comfortable, safer, more secure in our communities. So it's difficult, but hopefully the beneficial outcome is both for the individuals who need the help, but for everyone else who lives in the communities that feel uncomfortable with what we're dealing with today.
Yeah, so the regional budget was a 5% increase, and then there was an additional 2.5%, correct, to deal with the police budget?
Yes.
On the local level, Clarington, what kind of increase were you looking at there, and were you happy?
So Clarington did. We got beat by 1 day. Guelph beat us by 1 day, passing the 4-year budget. So Clarington this year, we took a look at the strategic plan. We took a look at our staffing needs, and then we took a look at the budget, and we integrated all of those together. So if we say something on the strat plan, and had huge feedback from the community, it was very satisfying. Thousands of people got back to us in a world where it's hard to get people engaged. I put them all together. Our increase this year, 4.4%. It'll likely be less next year. But with that 4-year budget in place, staff have runway, knowing what they're going to achieve over the next 4 years. One of my concerns, and Clarington has avoided it, typically right before an election, you get an incredibly low tax increase. Right? An election, because you think people will forget, you get a high tax increase. It doesn't give the public any certainty in terms of what's going on, and it doesn't give staff any certainty. It's just a dumb way of doing business. So we have Clarington's been pretty good at keeping the increases level. This takes it, another step forward where staff know what the expectations are. We will, of course, there are things that we're going to have to change. Things that we don't anticipate. So you'd always want it cheaper. And the other message for the viewers is the percentage increases are meaningless. It's the dollar amount out of your pocket. So Clarington looks to be one of the higher budget increases across the lakeshore. Dollar-wise, we are actually the lowest. So you've got a big percent on a small pie. The amount of money that Clarington takes from our residents for our local portion is lower than our neighbors on that. So look at the dollars. Don't look at the percentage, because the percentage doesn't tell you what you need to know.
We have just about a minute before we go to break. Quickly, the challenges of putting together a 4-year budget when you're used to doing it year by year by year.
Huge. So first time we've done it. You will see a number of municipalities adopting exactly that. So I've talked with a number of my colleagues about that, but you figure budgets, start the year after. It's immediate. You pass a budget, the new one starts. So imagine doing 4 years worth.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. We are in conversation with Clarington Mayor Adrian Foster. Don't go away. More to come after this break.
It's been a long time coming.
You don't win it to keep it, you win it to be a part of its history.
Always knew.
Always hard to see the difference between winning and losing.
The quest for the hardest trophy to win in sports.
With Rogers TV, you can cheer on the home team from the comfort of your living room. We'll head to the rink, the field, the court, or the pitch, so you don't have to. Tune in and cheer on your local amateur athletes on Rogers TV.
October 5th, 2014, my daughter was hit by a train. She was walking along the sides of the tracks, and it shattered her world.
This is Rogers TV.
And welcome back to Talk Politics. We are in conversation this week with Clarington Mayor Adrian Foster. I want to move away from the budget, but I want to ask you about the former Bowmanville zoo lands. And you're currently reviewing plans for a community park on that site. That's exciting.
It is. So while it's not news, We took possession of the zoo lands. It was a three-way arrangement where developer bought the zoo lands. So the owners of the zoo lands got some compensation for that. The developer then donated the zoo lands to the municipality. That's 34 acres that connects to the south with Soper Creek, to the north with all of the valleys that attach Camp 30. So a huge swath of green. And we're describing that as, Clarington's version of Central Park. It feels like it's the east end of town today, but in the fullness of time, as development goes, that is going to be a huge spot. So this is a nice counterpoint to what I was talking about earlier with Bill 23. And we are encouraging the public right now to submit their ideas for what they would like to see on that zoo property. We've got some concepts. Valleys 2000 has been working as a volunteer group, has picked that up and working with us. It will be a multi-year project. We're not going to be able to do it all at once, but we have an incredible opportunity, and we're looking for the public to tell us what that opportunity should look like.
What would you like to see on those lands?
So the very first and obvious thing, are the pathways connecting, all the way down, connecting up. We are looking at the potential for this is Michael Hackenberger, one of the former owners of the zoo, this circle of green. We'll probably see some tennis courts, soccer pitches. There's a spot that could be a natural amphitheater. So I think a mixture of active as well as passive recreation. We are looking at trying to capture the history. So there's a very long history beyond the zoo down there. Those lands have been used for recreation for years, but even the zoo, if you think of, Limba, the elephant, and anyone that had an opportunity, I mean, we, on a regular basis, if you lived in Bowmanville, you'd see the elephant going for a walk up the street. Many of us, myself included, had the opportunity to play with lion and tiger cubs. There are just so many fond memories. It would be nice to capture those.
I vote for the amphitheater. I think that's a great idea, just for the record.
Yeah.
For the record.
Well, there's a way that you can actually vote for the amphitheater. Anyone who's watching this, go to Clarington's website and give us your ideas.
Clarington.net, easy to find. And on the same vein of recreation, Clarington has unveiled designs for the municipality's first ever outdoor refrigerated skating rink. Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, so that's going to be at the Curtis Rec Center. So that's the one north of Highway 2, not the arena at the south. We and many municipalities have had programs where we will encourage residents to set up outdoor rinks, climate change being what it is. Those rinks are incredibly difficult. So a refrigerated outdoor rink where Mother Nature doesn't necessarily dictate whether you can skate or not. That'll be recreational skating. There will be the concept that we have at this point in time, some outdoor fireplaces, places to sit, spot that you can get your skates on and off, and it is a multi-use creature where in the summertime, if we're looking for concerts, whatever use we can make of that, we'll call it new public space. But we're excited about that. We hear regularly people want to do more skating. So imagine skating on a crisp, starry night outside and not worrying about that it's been too warm to be able to skate.
Yeah, memories of my childhood, outdoor rinks all the way, I'll tell you.
Well, it's sad with climate change. There are things that we've been used to doing as Canadians that we're not going to be doing in the future.
Yeah, that is true. Let's move on now to the Nuclear Energy Summit. Clarington's expertise was at the forefront at this nuclear summit. That's exciting as well.
Yeah, over I chair an organization called the Canadian Association of Nuclear Host Communities, and it's exactly what it sounds like. If you host a licensed community, you can be part of the group. And our mandate is to bring forward, share amongst ourselves best practices and experiences, but bring forward the needs and desires of the communities. We were invited a couple of years ago by the IAEA to attend a meeting in Vienna, where, and this is good, it sounds like I'm being negative. The IAEA has been around for 60 or 70 years, and they finally thought, hey, we should actually bring the host communities together, the municipalities, as opposed to the industry at higher level, because we are the ones that live, with the technology, with the industry right beside us. We connected with an American group, an American version of what we do, and a European group to create a global partnership. That global partnership is expanding. The Koreans have joined us. I believe we're going to see the Japanese join us. But through that global partnership, we are on a global stage, again, sharing best practices, sharing how deals are negotiated across the world, and sharing with many, many nations that are looking at bringing nuclear energy to their energy mix that desperately need to do so. I had a long meeting the other day by Zoom with a group of Kenyans that are looking at Canada's example. And for folks that aren't familiar with the file, nuclear is something that Canada does exceptionally well. We're typical Canadians, and we don't toot our own horn. Our regulator, the CNSC, is recognized when I go to these meetings. International colleagues are pointing to our regulator as being one of the best regulators on the planet. And with these small modular reactors that they're building in Darlington, we are one of the first out of the block on what is a multi-billion-dollar global potential. It's an incredibly exciting file right now.
You also, in that vein, you've been praising new life-saving cancer treatments that are to be produced locally here. Let's talk a bit about that.
Yeah, so part of I'm going to roll back on the nuclear file, as we tend to ignore that. I was doing a presentation in a northern Ontario town, about the nuclear file, where beyond Darlington turns the lights on for 20% of the residents in Ontario. So you shut nuclear down. That's about 50% of all of the electricity in the province. So people aren't going to turn their ovens on. They're not going to turn their lights on. But one of the things that Canadian technology is ideally suited for is isotope production. Right. There are a significant number of industrial and medical isotopes that come out of CANDU reactors. The most recent announcement that we have is an isotope called yttrium. It will be produced at Darlington. Right now, the yttrium comes from Russia. We would like a domestic supply that we can count on. Yttrium is used primarily for liver cancer, which I'm told is the fourth most deadly of the cancers. So right in our backyard, along with a variety of other isotopes. Everyone's heard about cobalt and cobalt treatments, and the list is expanding regularly. But a source of pride is what we are doing both domestically and globally. About 50% of all medical isotopes in the globe come from Canada. So if you think about how many lives are saved on a daily basis by virtue of what we are doing, and again, we don't toot our horn enough, but that's a pretty significant achievement. I'm not sure if it's the yttrium or not, but the isotope, one of the isotopes that had been considered very difficult to deal with as a waste, they've determined that this can be made into an exceptionally valuable medical isotope. So you've gone from garbage to gold, and we are getting constant advances in technology, finding these new treatments and new uses.
I have to ask you, every time we talk, I ask you this question, and I'm waiting for the day when the answer is, it's done. The Bowmanville GO transit expansion. We can't say that yet. I need to ask you for an update on that.
Yeah, so it's it's odd. We just had a meeting on that. We are hoping that the province well, it's really Metrolinx, not the province, to be fair, will put a pin on a calendar for when that is doable. A lot of work is going on, so there is significant progress happening. It's not tangible that people can see, and there is well-earned cynicism. I mean, this has been promised for so long, but the province Metrolinx are doing a lot of work. I'm not sure when we last talked about this. There was a significant advancement a few months past where the province has said that they will not build the GO train stations, which is problematic. You've got tracks and trains without stations. They are looking at developers that will reap the profits of their land value going up. The problem with that is developers don't know how to build train stations.
No.
If you've got a number of developers that have parcels around where the station is going to be, it gets incredibly awkward. Excuse me one moment. As we're talking, I'm suffering with a cold. So what Durham Region, I'm not going to last very long here.
Okay, we've only got about a minute and a half left.
So what Durham Region proposed to the province is they would upfront building the stations, so you get efficiencies of scale. We know when the stations are coming and where they're coming, and we would collect fees from the developers to pay for those stations. So a brilliant idea from Durham Region. The province agreed to allow us to do that. So that is set and ready to go. And that is a major piece of the challenge, making sure that there's actually a station to step onto that train.
So if you had to look into your crystal ball, when would you say we'd have the expansion done?
I suggested at a meeting the other day, 2028, that you'd be able to step on the train. There were some questioning looks, but no one said no.
Okay, well, on that, I'm going to save you from any more talking.
Oh, thank you.
We are out of time.
Last night.
We are out of time. Our thanks to Clarington Mayor Adrian Foster and to you for joining us. Until next time, I'm Debra Hutchison. Bye for now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
Monsieur de Champlain, when I finish paddling through this wilderness and reach China, I shall greet them wearing this.
Monsieur Nicolet, your mission shall be for the honor of the king and the Holy Faith.
In the summer of 1634, Jean Nicolet set off from Quebec to find a trade route that would link Europe and North America with China.
But where is it?
Further. I know the place you are seeking.
For months, Nicolet pushed through the wilderness, searching for the Western Sea.
Goja! Mississippi!
What did he say?
He says, Mississippi, great water.
Mississippi, the sea, China.
Jean Nicolet was wrong. It was Lake Michigan, not the Pacific. But others would follow his dream, Joliet, La Salle, the La Vérendrys, and they would map most of North America from the Rockies to the Gulf of Mexico.
Hi, can I take your order? Hello?
Oh, hey. Wait, what was the question?
Let me guess. One driving high combo, extra baked?